For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot.
Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too. Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
HBCU, league pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU, league pass. It's game time, I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU, league pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU, league pass. It's game time, I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
You see, Head & Shoulders has Scalp Shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Social media doesn't really feel very social these days. Sure, we get to see our friends, but it's so much better to be with them. And even though we're more connected, we miss being together. Tap into what's happening right now and meet up with friends, old and new. With the only social network that's designed to get you offline and back into life. Swoop in. Let's hang.
And welcome to tonight's show. I'm your man, BJ Jones. We got a lot to talk about. It's been a while since we've been here, man. Took a couple of weeks off. Got some trick-or-treating in with the little one on last week. Doing some traveling, covering some HBCU football. But hey, tonight, back in the lab. Back in the lab, baby. Week 10, big week. We start talking about in the Southwestern Athletic Conference as well as in the MEAC. Also in Division 2, big week, rivalry week. You got a little Miles, Tuskegee, Virginia State, Virginia Union. You got all of that this week. Albany State, Fort Valley State, the Fountain City Classic. And then in the SWAC and the MEAC, it was almost upset Saturday. Alcorn, what took place down in Florida, Daytona Beach. We'll talk about that. In the 8:30 hour, I have my good friend with me, Scotty. You guys know him as Off Script, man. We're going to talk some X's and O's and kind of talk about some of the things that are happening, particularly in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. We'll dive into that. Also on yesterday, you saw the Spartans of Norfolk State. Looked like they were going to cruise their way on to Atlanta. Nah. The Eagles of North Carolina Central had different plans. We'll talk about all of that, but first, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to my main man, Roy, doing the producing on the ones and twos back at the home studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. Give Roy a shout out, man. Appreciate you, Roy. Speaking of Atlanta, Georgia, before we get started, better be glad I ain't got my hat with me. We had some developments here in the city of Atlanta. If you guys don't know, I am a huge Atlanta Braves fan. I've been a Braves fan all my life. And guess what happened on Tuesday? I know Mike Washington, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, Charles Bishop. The Braves took home the World Series. First time since 1995. It's been a long time coming. The Braves are the world champions of Major League Baseball. World Series champs. We enjoyed an amazing parade on Friday, too. So, man, shout out to the Braves, all the Braves fans out there. Chop on, baby. Chop on. All right, so let's get ready to jump into this. It was week 10 in the HBCU football season. Had some interesting matchups to really look at. Some of the games were a little closer than the experts would have thought. And we got a few upsets. The biggest upset, let's talk about upsets, happened at Daytona Beach, Florida. It was the early game on yesterday. They had a noon kick Eastern, 11 o'clock Central. Early game, Alcorn. Jumping on the plane, riding down to Daytona. Bethune-Cookman, we know that they've had a rough year, winless on the season. We've talked about some of the challenges and difficulties that they've had as an institution. Coach Terry Sims, rough year. That program, the struggles of that program detailed in a great piece by HBCU Game Day. So we knew that the problems for Bethune-Cookman went far and beyond just the field of play. But yesterday, Alcorn State jumped out to a big lead. Actually jumped out to a 17 to 7 lead at one point in time. Looks like Alcorn was just going to go down to Daytona Beach and kind of do what Alcorn does. Bethune-Cookman had other plans. The biggest key for this game on yesterday, Shannon Patrick of Bethune-Cookman. The second half that he played was nothing short of amazing. He stepped in at the quarterback position and helped lead that comeback. Alcorn, once again, bitten by the turnover bug. 3 turnovers in that ball game on yesterday. Alcorn did rack up 476 yards. 300 of those yards were through the air, 176 yards on the ground. They averaged 4 yards per carry. 27 first downs to Bethune-Cookman's 13. They limited Bethune-Cookman to 335 yards in total offense. Most of those yards came in the second half, but the biggest difference were the turnovers. Alcorn got the turnovers, committed too many turnovers, and you saw a 17 to 7 halftime lead disappear. Final score in that ball game, Bethune-Cookman wins by the score of 35-31. Alcorn now has lost their second conference game in a row. We know what happened down in Baton Rouge a week ago. You come back on another road game, you face off against Bethune-Cookman. Now you have been dealt another loss. And now for Alcorn State, the pilgrimage, if you will, to the SWAC championship game just got a lot more complicated than what it had to be. Alcorn was just simply in a position prior to this game. If they won out, they would have been the representative of the Western Division in the SWAC championship game. But by virtue of loss on yesterday, Alcorn not only has to win out, but then they have to hope that Prairie View loses their contest against Mississippi Valley, which is going to happen after this weekend. I think it's going to be Thanksgiving weekend. They got to hope that Mississippi Valley can pull one to give Prairie View 2 losses. And then Alcorn has to win out and have to beat Prairie View this Saturday. And they have to defeat Jackson State a week from this Saturday. So tall task. Alcorn not out of it, but they made it an uphill battle. And we'll see how that plays out. Bethune-Cookman, shout out to Coach Terry Sims and that staff. When you go into a ball game 0-8, people start to wonder, has the team quit? Has the staff quit? How into the season this football program still is? And the questions have been answered. Bethune-Cookman came out, the defending SWAC champion from the last time we had a full season. No disrespect to Alabama A&M. But the last time we had a full season, Alcorn State, the winner of the last 2 SWAC titles, to get that win for Bethune-Cookman, that meant a lot for that program. And Bethune-Cookman has been close. They have been close all year. Had an opportunity to beat Alabama A&M. They had an opportunity. They didn't play bad against Jackson State. They had opportunities against Prairie View. Had opportunities against South Carolina State. So it was good to see Terry Sims and that staff and that program finally get off the snide. The Wildcats will now move to 1-8 overall, 1-5 in the conference. If you're Alcorn State, you're at an uncharacteristic 5-4 on the season, 4-2 in the conference, and that door of opportunity as far as the SWAC championship game. It's not closed, but it ain't wide open anymore. It's a crack in the door. It ain't much. It ain't wide open like it was about 36 hours ago. But there's a slither of hope for the Braves of Alcorn. Now, also, we started talking about other interesting ball games in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Yesterday, we talked about Prairie View leading the SWAC Western Division, undefeated in the conference. Things are going well for the Panthers. They ran into Alabama State after the Magic City Classic loss a week ago, announced that Coach Donald Hill Ely would not be retained. And he actually stepped away from the program. Coach Pearson stepped in the interim role. How would Alabama State respond? Well, I'll tell you what, if you were keeping track of this contest, at one point, Alabama State led Prairie View by the score of 20-10. It looked like Prairie View got caught looking ahead to that Alcorn game. And Alabama State went into the fourth quarter with a 20-10 lead. And then Prairie View did the Prairie View. Jawan passed in that offense, scored 14 points over the stretch of 8 minutes and 53 seconds and completely flipped the ball game. They get out of there, homecoming over there at Prairie View. Shout out to Dr. Kenyatta Cavill and Mike Washington. But homecoming there, they get out with a homecoming win, 24-20. Now, if you are Prairie View, it's simple. Your task to the conference championship game is simple. Beat Alcorn, you clinch. Beat Alcorn, the last game doesn't matter. Lose to Alcorn, and all the pressure then shifts to the Panthers of Prairie View. But right now, the Panthers are sitting pretty. Shout out to Coach Dooley and that staff. My boys down there. Shout out to Coach Dooley and that staff. They didn't play their best game on yesterday, but they found a way to get it done. Alabama State played a lot of young players yesterday. Is there anything to be encouraged about? Those young players really play hard. Ryan Nettles played pretty good on yesterday. He went 15-24 for 139 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The young man Miles Crawley came in, went 3 of 3 for 25 yards, and had a scramble that almost extended the game. Almost got picked up a first down there at the end. Jawan Pass continues to be Jawan Pass. 21 of 33, 171 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But he did add 2 touchdowns on the ground as a rusher. Also, Lademian Brooks continues to have a stellar season. He scores a touchdown as well. He actually got that comeback started with a 14-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter to push that score from 20-10 to 20-17. And then Jawan Pass, 6-yard run late in the fourth quarter to give Prairie View the lead, and they would hold on. Defensively, Prairie View actually looked good. They look good defensively. Limited Alabama State to only 212 yards of total offense. They did what they needed to do. Shout out to the Panthers. You're 1 win away from clinching it. 1 win away from clinching it. So we'll see what happens. That's a huge game in Norman, Mississippi this upcoming weekend with Prairie View and Alcorn State. Alabama A&M got off the snide this particular weekend as well. They hosted Mississippi Valley State. The Bulldogs did what they want and when they wanted to do it. A lot of people were down on Alabama A&M after that 3-game losing streak to Grambling, Jackson State, and then Florida A&M. But the Bulldogs, they flexed their muscles yesterday. And defensively, this Alabama A&M defense has been the butt of a lot of jokes, especially the jokes that I've told. They've been the butt of a lot of jokes. But defensively, they came to play, limiting out Mississippi Valley State to only 14 points. Only 14 points. That offense with Akil Glass and those receivers, when they get the humming, they are almost impossible to stop. Akil Glass, another 330-plus yard day with 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Gary Qualls adding what he added to on the ground, Zay Mo, as I like to call him. 3 receptions for 133 yards. Darian Anderson, 7 catches for 122 yards. Abdul Ibrahim, 7 receptions for 78 yards. This Alabama A&M offense, when they can protect the quarterback, is a thing of beauty. And you saw it on yesterday. Mississippi Valley did score early. It was a 7-7 contest early, and it looked like Valley was going to do what they've been doing all year, which is scaring the bejesus out of people. But Alabama A&M put them away. Alabama A&M now moves to 5-3 overall, 3-3 in the conference. Mississippi Valley falls to 2-7 overall and 1-5 in the conference. Shout out to Alabama A&M. They've now won 2 in a row. Things look up for the Bulldogs. So shout out to Coach Maynard and those guys. Other teams where you kind of had some games that made you kind of go, woo. Jackson State was hosting Texas Southern on yesterday. Andrew Body and that Texas Southern offense. You talk about offenses that can start humming. This is one of them. Texas Southern, young football team. I like what Coach Clarence McKinney is doing down there in Houston. A lot of people felt like Jackson State, maybe shouldn't take the team lightly. And I'm gonna tell you, for a half, they shouldn't. We went into the half with a 21-14 ball game. Jackson State was leading. Then it was 21-21, and Jackson State at that point took over. Shador Sanders goes 25-41 for 305 yards and 3 touchdowns. Andrew Body didn't have his best game through the air. 12 of 28 for 79 yards. He added 12 carries for 39 yards. Owens, the running back from Texas Southern, did have a big day on the ground, 23 carries for 198 yards. You saw Jackson State for the second week in a row get shredded on the ground. They allowed 259 yards rushing to Texas Southern. Texas Southern actually averaged 6.6 yards per carry yesterday against that vaulted Jackson State defense. Texas Southern was able to rack up 338 yards. Jackson State was able to rack up 528 yards, 305 yards through the air, 223 yards on the ground. That's a stable day, solid day for the Jackson State offense. And that defense, when they needed to come to play, they did it. They did. Jackson State scored 20 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, pushed this game from a 21-21 game to a 41-21 game, and walked out of Veterans Memorial Stadium as a winner. Now, if you're Jackson State, it's simple. Win on Saturday, you clinch the Eastern Division. Lose on Saturday, all the pressure is now on you going into that Alcorn contest. So it's going to be interesting these next couple of weeks. Got a few other games I'm going to cover with you. I'm going to go to break. And when we come back from break, I'm gonna have a good man. He's controversial sometimes. He gets fired up, but when you really pay attention to what he says, guy that knows the X's and O's, knows the in and outs of the game of football. I like talking ball with him because I like really talking the X and O's of it. But we're going to dive into a few of these matchups and kind of talk about some of the players that's really caught his attention. He's relatively new to HBCU football, particular football here in the SWAC, and that's my boy Scotty. You guys know him as Off Script. He does several shows a week. He has to call in, feature all that other good stuff, man. But he's a controversial guy. He's a controversial guy. A lot of you can call him the Paul Finebaum of HBCU football. But he'll be joining me after the break. So you guys sit right there, keep it locked as we go inside HBCU football.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield, never not working.
And we are back, man, and we are going inside HBCU football. I'm your man, BJ Jones, and I am joined now by my man, Scotty. You guys might know him as Off Script. Yeah, he got the shirt, he got the gear in the back. You can almost call him like the Paul Finebaum of HBCU football. He get them stirred up now. He get them stirred up. But at the end of the day, man, when you listen to what he's saying, you can't say that he's lying.
I try not to. What's good, B? Man, I appreciate you guys for having me on, as always.
Oh, man, we're just talking about Week 10, man. Week 10 in HBCU football and kind of some games that happened. Really talking about this Jackson State. I left off with Jackson State and Texas Southern on yesterday. How that game went, 21-21. Jackson State scores 20 unanswered in the fourth quarter to put it out of reach. But you watched that game. You had to watch part of yesterday. What were some things that kind of stood out for those who maybe didn't follow the game as closely? What are some things that stood out about that contest yesterday?
Surprisingly, I was surprised how well Texas Southern ran the ball on Jackson State. That to me, like, is been definite for the past couple weeks where they've been ran on, and that 198, 23 attempts for 198, and for Texas Southern to get away from that, to me, he probably could have went for 270 easy, the way that the game was flowing for them. My issue is, how do offensive coordinators not game plan around blocking James Houston? That's like you being in the NFL and telling me, you know what, I'm gonna leave JJ Watt one-on-one. I'm gonna leave Von Miller one-on-one. I'm gonna leave the best DN in the league, whoever you want to throw out there, TJ Watt one-on-one. That's what you're doing when you leave one-on-one with James. Like, he has been known to wreck shop. So I don't chip him, double, tight it, something, and they just leave this guy one-on-one, and then they look crazy and dumb when their quarterback's getting sacked and it's a fumble, or he's making it, it was 2nd and 6, now it's 3rd and 9, or 3rd and 15 because of his sacks or his pressure. teams just have to do a better job of game planning around James Houston. He's a problem.
Yeah, I think, if you ask me who's the SWAC defensive player of the year, it's James Houston.
Hands down.
I think it's him or Isaiah Land. I think that those two have kind of been playing in a class of their own this year. And James Houston, man, I'm trying to think of a game that he didn't have an impact, and I can't think of one.
The ULM game is the only game he didn't because he got the targeting call in like the first quarter, and they took him out the rest of the game.
In the first quarter. Yeah,
exactly.
In the first quarter.
So other than that, every other game, he's been impactful.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I was shocked when I looked up and I saw that this ball game was 21-21 at one point. And I was like, oh man, I might need to, go in. I was at the checking out Miles in Tuskegee yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to, kind of checking on my phone. I was like, man, 21-21. Like, oh man, what's going on? And then it went from 21-21 to like, oh my God. Somebody reminded Texas Southern that they was Texas Southern. Man.
And if I'm being honest, the game could have been worse for Jackson State, honestly, because if Andrew Body hits on any of his fade routes early in the game is 28-21 at half. It's 35-21 at half because the receivers were getting by these DBs. And I don't know how Jackson State fans don't understand. Your secondary is not the strength of this team. Don't think about it. It's your front seven. Your front seven is all world, and that's what causes most of the problems. But Andrew Body was exposing them. I mean, he just couldn't hit on anything. He literally could not hit on anything. And he's so dynamic. I don't know if you saw the play, BJ. He went about 50 yards on a run and got called back, and 50 yards on a run for a touchdown and got called back for holding. Like, that's how dynamic just walked in gazelle-like. But that's how dynamic Andrew Body is. And the game really could have got ugly for Jackson State, honestly. I wouldn't have been surprised if they could have put 35 on them boys. Easy. Probably the easiest 35 that any team has ever put on Jackson State.
Yeah, I think the thing that really took me for a loop was Texas Southern averaged 6 yards to carry on Jackson State.
And they got away from it in the second half, B. I'm telling you, got away from it. Went away from it.
Yeah, that was crazy to me. And I think another game that really kind of opened my eyes yesterday was Arkansas Pine Bluff and Grambling. Just simply because I kind of felt like Arkansas Pine Bluff had mailed it in for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they had mailed it in for the year. A team that's winless in conference, coming off of a spring where you competed for the conference title. And all of these losses, I kind of felt that they mailed it in, and they looked like a completely different football team yesterday against Grambling.
They completely did. And it started with Skylar Perry. Skylar Perry I think they tried to make him a lot of what he wasn't early in the season, where he's just a drop back. But as you saw against Grambling, he can get loose. I mean, 146 on the ground, I believe he had.
146.
On the ground, and 2 touchdowns on the ground, and then he threw for 11 of 15 for like another 160 or something like that. That's a complete game. That's 300 yards for your quarterback, and he's doing it in different aspects. And then at the same time, you're not asking him to beat teams with his arm. You're just asking him to beat teams with his athleticism, just being an athletic quarterback. And the only thing to me is, I feel like the disservice is, you have some great receivers over there. Josh Wilkes, DeJuan Miller, Tyron Ralph. They're not getting the love that they deserve because they don't have a quarterback that can get them the ball like they would like to, but they have something over there with Kier as a running back, Crossley, I believe that's his name. They have a nice offense. They hadn't been able to put it all together until yesterday against a stout Grambling defense. That was the most surprising part to me, was that he got as loose as he did with that Grambling defense, because that's always something Grambling can always depend on, was their defense.
And I had this conversation with some people from Grambling earlier today, and they're talking about, the decision to put the red shirt on Noah Biden, which I don't think was a bad decision at all. I actually thought it was a good decision.
Yeah, I know you talked about the offensive line. He said until it gets fixed, he shouldn't be playing.
Why would I want to put my future behind that offensive line? Why? You know what I mean? I mean, people ask, what's wrong with Grambling's offense? And it starts up front.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It starts up front. They cannot protect the quarterback. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Can't protect them. And a player that they are missing this year was a player that they went after a lot, and that's Jeremy Hickbottom. Jeremy Hickbottom made a lot of plays with his feet. Even if it was to open up the pass, he did it with his feet in the pass for these last 2 seasons for Grambling. 2018 season, 2019 season. A lot of people tried to blame Hick and say, no, Hickbottom is the problem. He's that, he's this. Well, he's doing pretty well at Tennessee State. He's a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year in OVC. So obviously he didn't win as bad as people were saying. The problem is that offensive line, and it's going to take some time to get that fixed. It's not good. It's not good. I mean, it's not good.
You know, I had Jeremy on the show. I did an interview when he left Grambling, and he said, and one thing that he said to me, he was like, the benefit he has, because I always ask him, I said, you know, Jeremy, you're really quick feet in the pocket. Like, you know, you're there, then you're gone. He said, well, in high school, I never had an offensive line. He said, I was running for my life most of my high school career. He said, so that's been comfortable for me, like rolling out. I said, you're a really good thrower on the run. He said, well, when you're running for your life in high school, you know, you got to make it happen. So, and you're seeing the levels of his maturity at Tennessee State, where he's able to stay in the pocket, and then he can, like you said, make something happen with his feet, 40-yard, 30-yard runs. I mean, and he's a big guy, 6'4", 230, getting moving. So you're absolutely right. I think Grambling, for Fobbs to stay, you know, on my channel, I don't want to be as vocal as I am on my channel, because I've been calling for his job for the last 2 weeks. But for him to stay relevant at Grambling, for Grambling to stay relevant, they have to get offensive line. It's just flat out, they got to get offensive line.
Yeah, and I know they've tried to address this. They've tried to address it through the transfer portal. They tried to address it in many different ways. And they just got a new offensive line coach there from UL Lafayette. You know, you got to give him some time. You know, we'll see what happens there. I did want to hit on Alabama A&M for a brief moment, what they were able to do. We were able to see that offense when they're humming, what they're able to do. I was shocked that Mississippi Valley State didn't put up a better fight than what they did. I mean, because we're used to Valley, what they did against FAMU, what they did against Jackson State. The Valley was, and I know there's some limitations there, scholarship limitations. They don't have the depth and so forth. So I was shocked by that. Did you get a chance to watch any of that ball game or see kind of the stats from that game?
Yeah, I did. And on my channel, I said the Valley secondary should have stayed home. They got embarrassed. And also what I said on my channel was, it looks like the best defensive player on Valley is their football field. If I'm being 100% honest, the best defensive player on Valley is their football field. And you can see that you just saw a difference of speed. Like when players get their feet underneath of them, like, because that's what I saw against against Jackson. You didn't see that Jackson State speed at Valley. You didn't see that FAMU speed against Valley because of that field. That field is a hindrance to people coming in, but for Valley, it's a benefit because they're slipping, sliding, and in motion everywhere. I go back to this quarterback thing for Valley. Jelani Eason is not the answer. Like you can't keep putting this kid out here and going forward with him when you have backups that you haven't seen play, and you just want to see what they can do, what going forward, what your team looks like. The fact that Caleb Johnson went for 20 attempts and can get over a buck. We're talking about Alabama A&M defense now. We're not talking about Jackson State. We're not talking about FAMU where he both went over 100 yards. You let Alabama A&M stop you. Caleb Johnson, come on. It's so much wrong with that, because as me and you both know, Alabama A&M defense can't stop a 6-year-old no bleed. It can't. So how is Caleb Johnson only going for 89 yards, 85 yards for 20 carries. Something's not right with that. I have to sit back and break the whole film down, but I just saw highlights and read the stat line. I'm just like, oh, this is ridiculous. So crazy.
And speaking of also yesterday, speaking of craziness, Florida A&M going down to Baton Rouge. We ain't going to avoid it. We'll run right into it. Florida A&M going down to Baton Rouge. They take the win over Southern by a score of 29-17. That ball game in the second half, looked completely different than what it did in the first half. Southern shut completely out in the second half. 0 points, 61 total yards in the second half. A lot of people had a lot of opinions about the ball game on yesterday. Not shy about it. I felt like the team fought hard in that first half. I thought that they fought, they did what they needed to do to be in the ball game in the first half. Coaching took them completely out of it in the second half. Ain't no ands, ifs, buts, maybes, could be. Coaching took those kids completely out of the ball game on last night in Baton Rouge.
Absolutely, B. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm having a watch party and I'm watching it and I couldn't believe what I'm seeing because I'm like, okay, so one, help me understand it. I know Kobe Dillon was out. I heard Gerard Sims got hurt during the game. I know Craig Nelson was either doubtful or didn't come back because he got hurt. So now you're down to Devon Ben. And Devon Ben is a goal line back. He's a short yardage back. Last time I checked, you still have Ladarius Skelton, number 8 in the back. Sitting on the deck. I mean, he's the best pinch hitter in the SWAC. Like, if you need him to do, the boy can play safety if you need him to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's just that real. My issue, though, B, is that the Southern defense was on fire. I mean, they were doing everything you needed them. Goal line stands, 3 and outs. I mean, I'm looking like this game is for the taking. And when did Bubba McDaniels become Peyton Manning? 39 attempts? 39. Who is this kid? 39 attempts for 183, 163, something like that?
Yeah.
That don't even make, that's like you would say, that's running back average. What are we doing? Like, that's not, that's what.
He was barely at 50%. And he's barely at 50, 20 of 39.
What are we doing? And it's not, and don't get me wrong, there was some drop balls, so I'll give him that. But
I counted. I counted. It was 7.
7 drop balls. And then the wheel route, I mean, it's just him and Jesus. The running back, just him and Jesus. He misses that.
Yep. Missed it twice.
So it's to me, I've been a big advocate of Zach Grossi. You know, me and you have talked about it offline. Yeah. But him and Jason Rollins let you down in that game, especially Zach, because I don't know why you get so pass happy when you're a run first team anyway. Put Jamar Washington at running back. He's just as fast, just as quick, just as shifty. I'll have him as a running back. But for Bubba McDaniels to drop back 39 times, you're playing right into McKay's hand. I mean, right into FAMU's hand. And you didn't hear nothing about Isaiah Land the whole first half. Isaiah Land wasn't even a factor in the first half until the second half when you continued to drop back. He got home a couple times, and now he's a factor. Now he's eating in the game. It was frustrating. It was. I picked FAMU to win, so you know I'm always happy with my picks. But I want to see a good football game, and at the end of that second half was not a good football game.
I think really yesterday, I think there were some things that stuck out to me. I think defensively, Southern played better defensively than they've played probably since the Arkansas Pine Bluff game. And that's a defensive unit that has struggled all year. I would also say this is that the undisciplined struggles for Southern continued. We saw the snap over the head.
The punt.
I have no idea what was going on there. You kind of saw how chippy this game got at times. I was shocked that 8 wasn't more. He wasn't a part of the game plan, and I'm gonna look at it from this standpoint. When you get to the collegiate level, those guys back there that return punts and kicks, they're special from an athleticism standpoint. So if you're telling me this about 8, that he's special from an athleticism standpoint, I need to have a real good reason on why he's not a part of the offensive game plan. Because if you're not putting your best players on the field, then you're doing your team a disservice. And those are the type of disservices that you can outthink yourself out of a job and an opportunity as a coach when you're in the interim role.
Thanks.
I mean, it's just a fact. There's just a fact of it.
Yep. You absolutely.
And I think that's what occurred on yesterday.
And to me, B, you're hitting the head right. You're hitting the nail right on the head. That's the biggest indictment, is that you're telling me your quarterback is so and it makes you look bad. It really does. Like, you're telling the whole SWAC, my quarterback is so dynamic, I can put him at kick returner and he might take it to the crib on you. So then you get in the game, he never sees the field other than kick return. So then it makes you think like, what is this? Because if you watch any other team, their punt returners and their kick returners are usually involved in the game. Number 10 from FAMU, big component. Shareed, huge component. Warren Newman, huge component to their offense. Tyron Ralph at UAPB, huge component. I mean, number 10, Manny from Alcorn. I don't know if they're going to keep using that boy for punt return. He's been making some bad decisions lately. But, he's a factor. So it's just one thing after another, and it just makes you scratch your head like, sometimes it makes you question yourself, like, is football really that hard? Like, that's what it really makes me think sometimes when I just sit back. I'm like, is football really that hard?
I think a lot of times, especially with offensive coordinators have the propensity to outthink themselves. Like, that's something that you see on the offensive side of the football. Well, a guy will outthink himself. And I think that's what we saw on last night. Zach Grossi outthought himself. He either outthought himself or Zach Grossi said, I got 3 games left. I'm out of here anyway.
Let me see what
the hell?
Shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars.
If I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna leave shooting.
Go.
I'm not gonna leave saying what if. I'm not gonna leave any other way. I'm gonna leave shooting.
Now this is my thing though, B, and this is where the Paul Feinbaum part of me, that you guys said. If I'm Ladarius Skelton, the way you're doing me on my senior year is flat out disrespectful. And I'm not even a big component of, a senior has seniority. To me, it's always about the best player plays. But when you've been as successful as this young man, who is taking you to back-to-back SWAC championships, even though he didn't get over the hump, we all understand that, has won every Bayou Classic he started in, has been the Bayou Classic MVP for every game he started in, and this is how you doing me on my senior year, somebody got to come see me. Somebody got to come see me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can definitely understand that young man's frustrations, the frustrations of a fan base. I'll tell you this, Alabama State made the jump on last week. It said that, hey, we're going to put Donald Hill Ely out to pasture and going to open this thing up. I don't think that you're going to get that from Southern just because I think, Rollins is in the interim role that runs through December. I think that there's a call to be made. You won't get that call. There's a call to be made. The call won't be made until after Bayou Classic. But I think anybody with a pulse and that can add, 1 + 1 and knows that it's 2 knows what's going on down at Southern. Just because I'm saying that, we're not moving. I'm looking at houses though. I'm looking at the market. I got White Shirt pulled up. I got all the apps pulled up. I know the market value. I know about what I need to spend. I've gotten an approval letter from the bank.
Something's wrong with you.
We preparing. I ain't made the move yet, but
all things are in order. All things are in order.
What did people say in Shell? The dogs of war are emotion. The dogs of war are emotion. So I think that we kind of know what's going on there. I think it's going to be interesting, particularly, and I'm glad I got you here because we can talk about it. I think it's going to be interesting to see which direction Southern goes in, which direction that Alabama State goes in, and also what other jobs possibly open. For this particular reason, the success that Deion Sanders has had at Jackson State, that has really opened a lot of people's eyes. And before the success came, a lot of people were saying that we need to get a celebrity coach. Now they were just saying it because Jackson State was getting a lot of attention, and it was kind of like, oh, the neighbor got a new car, I'm gonna get me a new car too.
Keep it up with the Joneses.
Yes, keeping up with the Jones type of situation. But when you look at Jackson State in particular, you look at the success that Deion Sanders has had up to this point, because they can completely wet the bed from this point forward. We don't know. So up until this point, you look at the success that he's had. Eddie George, up until yesterday. Now, yesterday they ran into the one good team in their conference because the OVC is horrible. When you look at the wins that Eddie George had at Tennessee State, they didn't beat a team with a winning record. And yesterday was their one shot at one, and it didn't go particularly well. But people are going to look at their record and say he has them going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to want celebrity hire, and this is why I tell people there's one Deion Sanders. One. Me and you are about the same age. When we came up, there were a lot of people wearing number 2, me being one of them, and 21. There was a lot of people when you went to pick helmets with it. I want the Deion face mask. I want the Deion. All right. There was a lot of people.
Bandana.
Yeah, there was a lot of kids running laps and Pop won a ball for not fastening their gloves. Why? Because Deion didn't fasten his gloves.
Mm-hmm.
He influenced a generation, right? A generation. There's only one of those. And I'm afraid that people see that and then just start throwing up guys just because they're a celebrity and I know them and completely omit the football part. Let me get your take on that.
I think you're absolutely right? And we have had this conversation on my platform too many times. I think I'm not asking, and if I'm Alabama State or Southern, I'm not asking my celebrity coach to be Deion. I'm not asking you, like you said, there's only one Deion. I'm not asking you to be a showman. I'm not asking you to be all that. What I'm asking you to do is I need those fringe 3-star, 4-star recruits to consider Southern, to consider Alabama State. When those 4 stars jump in the transfer portal and an Ed Reed calls their phone, I'm considering going to Southern because of Ed Reed. Mm-hmm. Because of the name. Now, there's only one other thing I would allow if I was going after a coach, is a coach that is connected through the back channels of college football. And what I mean by that is a high up coach who can call a Nick Saban, a Dabo, a Shaw, Texas A&M, and they're like, hey, I know you got some fringe players you're trying to get rid of because you're trying to open up scholarships. Let me know who they are. I would like to bring them to my program. That's what you need, because I'll take some fringe Clemson players. I'll take fringe Ohio State players that couldn't make that squad. I'll take some fringe Maryland, some fringe Stanford player, all that type of stuff. So I think if you had a coach that's well connected in that college ranking thing, and how the little with the boys or whatever, I think that's cool. But a celebrity coach, because think about it, and I know we're all gonna bring up Ed Reed. If you get Ed Reed, you bring the whole you with you. Like, I mean, it's you got the whole you. They're gonna push him. They're gonna promote him. You're gonna see him. You're gonna see Southern on NFL game day because that's where Michael Irvin is. You're gonna see him be promoted by Ray Lewis. Reggie Wayne is a Louisiana kid, so he gonna be down there. So all the stuff that Deion's doing with the rappers coming in and the podcast, Ed Reed can do the same thing with all his boys he played football with. I can have Adrian James at the stadium. I can have Ray Lewis come through and talk to y'all. I can have whatever NFL coach come through and talk to y'all in the offseason. I can make that happen. I'm Ed Reed. You see what I'm saying? So I think you just need that football aspect for kids that are like, he can think about this, right? It's like this. If I'm a top safety and Ed Reed, it's the same way I felt when Deion FaceTimed me. I'm like, man, I'm talking to Deion Sanders. You know what I'm saying? If a recruit gets a FaceTime from Ed Reed is FaceTiming, like, you know, it's just different. So that's what you're competing. You're not competing with the publicity. It's Deion. You're competing football wise to get those 3- and 4-star players that would never consider going to Southern. Now they're considering it because of the celebrity coach of Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, whoever you want to throw in there.
Man, you talk about guys. There was a guy that I was real high on. Unfortunately, he ended up with an FBS job a year too early, and that was Charles Huff. He's a head coach at Marshall now. He was the assistant head coach at the University of Alabama under Nick Saban last year. Played at Hampton, coached at Tennessee State, had a couple of stops in the NFL, coached at Buffalo. He was at the Buffalo Bills. He spent some time at Penn State and kind of rose up the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Huff is 37, 38 years old.
Oh, wow. That's a
young guy.
Yeah.
Young guy. Played at Hampton. HBCU guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, played at Hampton. Played on some good Hampton teams when Hampton was rolling. You know, was a captain up there. He's at Marshall now. All right, Marshall. You know, pried him away. He's 6-3 at Marshall. I really liked Charles Huff last year, and knew some people that knew him. I knew he wanted to get into coaching, and he did not rule out coaching at an HBCU because that's where he was from.
Mm-hmm.
But it's guys like that I feel like, and as HBCUs, we got to go out and find and get, because I think the problem with HBCU searches, particularly when you talk about ones that can be political, and I think with Southern and Alabama State, these are two places that the politics are different, but both can get political. I think a lot of them, in those particular cases, where you go wrong is you throw a search, but you only fish for the big fish in your pond. And what I mean by your pond, your state, someone who has maybe had a cup of coffee here in the past before.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not checking out the neighbor's yard. You ain't checking out across the street, down the street, across town. You're just looking in one area, and that's limiting yourself. And that's how you end up in the position that Florida A&M just came out of, where you have 15 years of the doldrums.
Oof.
You go through the period where Jackson State just came out of, where you have, you know, Jackson State hadn't won the SWAC title since 2007. You put yourself in that position by doing that. And that's my issue with these searches, not just at Alabama State, Southern, HBCUs across the board, because we kind of limit ourselves from a quality candidate standpoint. We want the pool to be this big, and this guy has to come from right here, instead of pushing out to kind of see what we can do.
Yeah, it is so man, it's annoying. It really is, because usually it's like, oh, he needs to be an Alabama State guy. What the hell is that? Oh, I'm sorry. What does that mean? What does that really mean? You know, like, he needs to.
What the hell they got to do with it?
What the hell does that have? It don't got nothing to do with nothing with football. I like it what you say. Does he got a natty? You don't got to. Don't keep looking. Like, give me somebody who's about football. Give me a win. You want to win? I want to win. Give me a winner. I don't care that he didn't graduate from Alabama State. I don't care if his grandmama ain't the donating or the most high lump. I don't care about none of that. It's football. Find me a football coach that can turn water into wine, because that, at the end of the day, if you're not going to, And let me say this. So I met a guy who was on Rick Comegy's staff when they were rolling or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Scotty, he said, I'm gonna tell you this. He said, my teams at Rick Comedy would do circles around Deion Sanders' squad. And I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, we had White Tiger. He said he had another quarterback before him who was just as cold. He said, I had like the top 4. I had a top safety from Georgia, another top safety from Ohio. Like, I'm talking about like 4A player of the year. He said, we went out and recruited. He said a lot of people people didn't want. We went out and got those guys and we recruited. He said, Scotty, it all comes down to how well you can recruit. He said, once you get that talent in, then you need somebody to put it all together. So if your coach can go out and out-recruit Deion, go out and outwork him, or use that budget, however your recruiting budget is, and go get that guy or go get those players, it's possible, because what I'm seeing Vincent Dancy do with less than anybody in the SWAC is amazing. I think he should be the first. If Alabama State don't get no celebrity coach, he should be the first person I'm calling. I'm calling Vincent Dancy, like, bro, what I gotta do to get you from Valley? What I gotta do? You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be and I don't like retreads. I really don't like that, but that would be the only retread I would truly say, like, yeah, I'm gonna pull you. The guy from Miles, he's not bad. He does good work down there in Miles. You know what I'm saying? Reggie Ruffin, I believe that's his name is.
Yeah, Reggie Ruffin.
Yeah, Reggie Ruffin. But start looking at these guys, man. I mean, I got a coach that I know, a coach right now, probably one of the smartest offensive guys I know. He was a wide receiver coach at the Colts. He's coached with Peyton Manning. He's good friends with Jeff Blake, best friends with Eric Bieniemy. You think an HBCU would give him a chance? Like, he could be an offensive coordinator right now at any HBCU school, but just because he went to Western Illinois, just because he didn't go to an HBCU, he gets overlooked because he's like, like you said, they want that from that. You need to be from an HBCU pool, but come on, it's like, bro, I know football. That's what I know. I know football, and I know how to get the best out of my players. So it's a tragedy to see it, but until that mindset gets changed, and not hiring white coaches. Like, come on, man. Like, ain't no white guy coaching here. For what? Like, I mean, if he's the best candidate, he's the best candidate. So don't get me going. I go down the spiral.
If I'm an athletic director in this region of the country, so in this region, I'm talking about the Southeast. If you ain't calling Pete Schnitt at West Florida, you're doing yourself a disservice. I'll take it further than that. I would say Will Hall was another one of my guys. You saw the work that he did at West Georgia, the work he did at West Alabama. He did work at schools that didn't win anything, and then he did national championship contenders. Another one is Kerwin Bell, who's currently at Western Carolina. He won a national championship at Alcorn State and was winning at non-scholarship Jacksonville University.
Wow.
Who no longer has football. Like, that's what they thought about that football program. But he was winning 7, 8, 9 games a year at Jacksonville University. Guys like that, because they're not making a lot of money. Like, when you start talking about the salary difference, they're not making a lot of money. I mean, you go in, you talk to them, and just see what it is. I don't care if the guy is white. I don't care if he's blue, orange, or whatever. Well, ain't orange. And our experience with the orange dudes ain't the best. Take the orange part out. All right. Gotcha. But any other color outside of orange, like, I don't really have an issue. And I think that's something, I mean, we talked about on my Spaces one night. When we were talking about, a particular coach's job in the SWAC. And the alumnus came out and said that there will never be. And we were just like, why? And we brought up a coach with a natty. We was like, but he has a natty. That's a national title. Well, but he's white. Okay. Well, I'm going to take the coach with the natty. And, you can be, Louis Farrakhan about it if you want to. My program is going to excel, and you're going to be in the same place that you were.
So let me ask you a question. Let me throw it back at you. Jay Hobson with Alcorn. Didn't that? I thought they said that was a pretty successful run what Jay Hobson did at Alcorn. Came in, brought the program up, dipped out, left it for McNair, and then he's been running the show ever since.
Yeah, I think with Jay Hobson, I ain't gonna put too much Alcorn business out there, but to go a little bit deeper. But I think, I will say Alcorn, you can't deny the work that Jay Hobson did there. I know that he did bring in Indy and everybody, and that kind of got Alcorn into some trouble. Just from some PR things. But yeah, Jay Hobson, for all intents and purposes, he was good to go there at Alcorn. You would have thought that the work that he did there, or even if you look at Coach Gabe down at Albany State, what he's doing, he's playing for a conference title this week. He has one of the top teams in the country at Albany State. You would think that those things would matter and resonate, but unfortunately at the HBCU level, we got the people with that mentality. I always tell people, man, HBCU football ain't different than football than anywhere else. The only difference is the color of the fans and the people making the decisions. But when you cut it down to it, you open that baseball up, it's the same thing in the middle, man. The same problems that other folk have that we have as well. Man, let's run to a break, man. We end up going over a little bit. Let's go to a break, man. We'll close it out, man. We'll go 15 minutes hard, man. We'll give y'all bonus time with my boy Scotty, man. We can do this all night. We're gonna run the commercial, man. We'll be right back, and we're going inside HBCU football.
Let's go.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes, even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. Number 15?
Never not working.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Head & Shoulders scalp shield, never not working.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language. And she really loves her grandson. Like really loves.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
So hard.
Oh yeah, man. Man, we are back, man. We are back, man. Inside HBCU football, man. We were just vibing to the intro music, man. That's my man E. Jones, man. Quiet Storm Hour. You ain't familiar. You ain't familiar with E. Jones, man, of the Ninth Wonder, man. Check him out, man. He put together some tracks. But yeah, man, we going inside HBCU football. I got my man Scotty, and we're just talking about it. Different opportunities, coaching hires, decisions, and things that we may see this off season. And Scotty, you can pick it back up where we left off when we were talking about coach with a natty and perception and all that good stuff.
Yeah, my thing with that is I'm on the board of celebrities though, because I feel like the brand of the SWAC is in a place right now that is just, it's rising like bread. So I think if you just want to influx it as much as you can to just get that notoriety even bigger. I know whatever Deion Sanders has brought, that's awesome, is great. And I just think, me personally, I just want to see the Ed Reed and Jackson State, right? The Boombox Classic, it's not really a classic because the Jackson State and Southern game becomes even more bigger. And then now you have this one powerhouse, another powerhouse. They meet up in the SWAC championship game. Ed Reed. It's just so many headlines. ESPN can't ignore it. No sports network can ignore that because of the headlines behind it. And I think that's what the SWAC needs. More and more headlines to build the notoriety. So now players are looking at the SWAC just to say, hey, I want to be there. So I just think that helps the whole brand.
And this is the thing. One of the things that I like about Ed Reed is that he went and got some coaching experience. You know, a lot of people that played with him said that he was a coach on the field anyway, with his smarts and the things that he knew. But in 2016, he went out and he was a defensive backs coach for the Buffalo Bills. He you know, got that time in, got some high school coaching time in, and then now he's at the University of Miami. He's the chief of staff. But if you've watched anything with ESPN in Miami, he's doing a little coaching too. He's doing they can't have him on the field, but he's there, so he's learning the college game, the ins and outs of the college game. He has a passion to do it. We'll see, you know, kind of what happens with Ed Reed. I know that he has made it known that it's something that he wants to get into. And we'll see what happens there. I mean, I like Ed Reed. I think that him and Palomalu as far as safeties and yeah, man, bad boy, you know, bad boy. So I think, you know, we'll kind of see what happens there. My whole thing about celebrities, man, is it has to be the right one. Ed Reed, yes. If I hear someone else say Marshall Faulk, I'm liable to choke the hell out of them. There's a reason, and this is why I say this. When people say, well, Marshall Faulk ain't never coached no ball, man. He never coached no ball. And number one, when Marshall Faulk went off the air on the NFL Network, there's a reason that you haven't seen him since. There's a reason why having a Marshall Faulk is a risk, and the big old risk being Title IX. All right? And I don't think that people understand those things when they just start throwing out names. Number one, man, does this person want to coach, and has this person been doing it? Because I know a lot of people that played the game of football and were good at it. They can't teach you anything about it.
That's fair.
Not like coaching. So I think that, you know, people kind of get caught up and hung up on that. But then also, while you're trying to catch the celebrity wave, there's a lot of guys out there that are talented that you may miss. And they might not be able to provide you with, they might not win the press conference, but I tell people this when it comes down to coaching hires. You can win the press conference in December and January, but I'd much rather win the podium in December when you're holding that hardware. There's been a lot of hires, and people have told you, oh, this is the guy right here. This is the man right here. And then they go somewhere, Dan Mullen at Florida. But, you know, there's a lot of hires like that. Where you can win the press conference. And look, I'm going to tell people like this. I know we're talking HBCU football. Dan Mullen is who he is. Dan Mullen is what his resume said that he was. Y'all tricked yourself into thinking that Dan Mullen was something that he wasn't. But Dan didn't ever tell you that. Dan didn't tell you anything. Dan is exactly what his resume said he was.
Oh my God.
But I'm just saying. But I mean, there's a lot of people that are interested in winning the press conference. And I think that winning the press conference and hoisting the trophy at the end are two different things. And I think I think this situation with Jackson State, I think they caught lightning in the bottle. They got the right guy at the right time. And his platform and what he's able to do has definitely elevated that program. It's elevated what Jackson State can and will do, has opened up the door to Jackson State to some players that may not have listened in the past. But people think that can just be replicated just by going and just grabbing anybody, and it ain't the same.
No, it's definitely not just no. I'm not subscribing to just anybody. My thing is this. I think what a lot of things that Prime has done is that I think the SWAC is kind of like get off my lawn is the guerrilla marketing. The guerrilla marketing by Dion is A1. I've said from day one on my channel, he should have a class at Harvard on marketing. He is the man. Now, you can't tell me that on Twitter, Instagram, Dion would say, hey, he got a game he about to play in maybe in a day or so. He's like, hey, we in Memphis. I'm looking for high school games to go. I'm trying to find talent. Like, I'm not saying the coaches don't do that, but I'm saying make it known. Be out there. Get the fanfare, the traction. This is what, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm glad I'm saying it on your platform. If I was Coach Maynard, right, and they left the scooter on my field, the next day I would have been on Instagram riding that scooter to my meeting, because I'm gonna flip it on you. I'm gonna ride the scooter to my meeting. You're gonna see it on Instagram. I'm gonna put it on the table, and I'm like, we never gonna let this happen to us again. Now I've just taken a clown and I've used it for my own marketing and media to see what kind of a coach I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think the swag is there yet, because you have great personalities, Donald, Connell, Coach Dancy. You have these personalities that I think could gravitate and capture people's interest, but you're just not seeing it. All you're seeing is a whole bunch of Jackson State. And after a while, it just gets annoying. It really does. Like, it's just so much.
And I like what Deion Sanders has done with that, saying, hey, I want the ball. He's active on social media. You know who's else active on social media? The kids that you're recruiting. You ever been around high schoolers? I coach them. They are constantly on their phone. You cannot separate them from the phone. And guess what he is? The phone. So I think that he's going about it doing a different way. And that's because the world has changed. It's not going back to the way it was 10 years ago. It's not going back to the way that it was 15 years ago. Absolutely. He has adapted to where these kids are and meeting them there. And once I meet you where you are, I can bring you where you need to be.
Yeah.
From a maturity standpoint, was developing to a young man, I could do all of those things. Yeah. But first, I have to meet you. And that's what he is doing there. And that's something that I can definitely appreciate. Yeah, I am the type of person that's going to be throwing all kind of accolades and hoo-ha's towards Jackson State, because that's just not the way that I'm built. But I will be able to give them credit there and saying that it took some vision, it took some forward thinking in them doing what they did. And from right now, as we stand on this day, they got it right as of November the 7th. Now, it may change moving forward. Mm-hmm. As of November 7th, 2021, they got it right.
They got
it right. Man, let's almost move along, man. Week 11 in the conference, in the SWAC. The big game that everybody's going to be talking about, Jackson State and Southern. Also, Alcorn State is going to be hosting Prairie View, A&M. Man, what games are you looking forward to the most in the conference?
The two you just said.
Two or just none.
I mean, it's no. Come on, man. Let's not play this game. Like, we know what the two biggest matchups is. It's Jackson State against Southern, the Boombox, and then you got PV and Alcorn. Now, like you said earlier in the broadcast, Alcorn stumbling on Bethune just takes a little air out that game, just a little. You know what I'm saying? But they can always rebound and win out. But I think, if I'm being honest, PV set their schedule up probably better than anybody. Having Texas A&M bottom of your schedule, because that doesn't affect the conference record. You can lose that game, play backups for all I care. You know what I'm saying? And then you can walk into the Valley game, win that, and you strolling right onto the SWAC championship. Now, that Southern and Jackson State game is because of the history. I think what you guys have been beating them, 8-9 years straight, something like that?
Yep, 9. Yeah. It's been 9 in a row, 8 in a row. Yeah,
9 in a row. Now listen, I called for Grossi's job and Rollins' job. They win that game.
You'll bring them back.
I wouldn't bring them back. Y'all still hitting the door, but there's going to be a lot of murmuring behind the closed doors, and you play that game. They're gonna be like, well, maybe. Like, nah, you gotta go. That was luck. But yeah, those are the two biggest games. I really, really cannot wait. I wanted to be there in Mumford to go see that game. I won't be able to, but that is what I am definitely looking. Everything else is kind of like, but those two, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, now the thing about that ball game, for you to find somewhere to stay in Baton Rouge, if you give up your firstborn, they can make it happen. I mean, I looked earlier today, and they're literally talking about people charging, $800, $900 a night for a room to stay in Baton Rouge. No, not a week in Las Vegas. night in Baton Rouge. Yeah, good luck with that, bro. Yeah,
I'm
good luck
good.
with that, bro. Now, coming down the stretch, man, we're talking about the conference races, and Jackson State can clinch with a Florida State loss and a win on Saturday. This is where it gets very interesting for Jackson State. Let's say the unthinkable happens. Southern defeats Jackson State, which ain't out of the realm of possibility.
No, definitely not.
That means if Alcorn beats Prairie View on Saturday, then Alcorn and Jackson State will face off with each other in a must-win situation. For both. For both. Man, if that play out, you think the rooms in Baton Rouge are ridiculous. The rooms for the Soul Bowl, well, I'm telling you, they'll call you, they'll tell you they're canceling your room. And you
No, you're lying because I'm already booked for the Capitol.
I was already booked for Baton Rouge. I've been booked for the Jackson State game since this summer. They canceled me and tried to get me to rebook because when I booked my room, it was $109. And now they want $299.
They can do that.
It depends on who you book to. Depending on who you do. I use hotels.com. I ain't trying to give them no plug.
Wow.
Y'all can sponsor this show, so we'll give y'all a plug. But anyway, yeah, they can do something. But just looking at the clinching scenarios, Prairie View can clinch with a win on Saturday. Alcorn wins on Saturday. I would not want to play Mississippi Valley to clinch anything.
Are they at Valley?
Let me look. I'll be able to take a look at that for you. I think they are at Valley. Let me look at. I'm gonna get the schedule pulled up, but let me double check that.
Yeah, go ahead, do that because that field ain't no joke. That field is the 12th man for real.
No. They will host Valley. So they will host Valley.
They will host Valley. Okay. So yeah. I'll lean a little to PV. I'll lean a little bit to PV on that. If they was at Valley, I'll probably be pushing the upset alert. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'll probably be pushing the upset alert. What I'm interested in seeing, honestly, though, is how Grossi bounces back and plays this Jackson State. Because if your team is built for Jackson State, defensively, not so, because your DBs and all that, no. But offensively, if you slow this game down, if you pound this ball out, I can see a 28-24 game. I can see a 21-24 game. I can see that if you stick to what you are. Run the ball, play action, simple reads, use your All-American freshman tight end, Thomas, I think that's his name. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you talking about, man, if you didn't call his name, I could have told you.
Thomas, something like that.
Ethan. Yeah.
I haven't heard his name in like the last 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So using him, getting him involved. But once again, I'm just scared that they're going to overthink this because if I'm being honest, what I would do if I was Southern, I'm going to put Skelton. I'm going to put Jamar. I'm going to put whoever's healthy at running back. We doing a 2-back set like we did at Texas Southern, and we doing triple option, baby. And they better stop it. They better stop it. So.
And this is another key that I think is going to be for this ball game. I think that if you get a healthy Jordan Lewis in that defensive line, that's going to cause some problems in the pass game.
For real, he's next level speed. Jordan's some next level speed.
Because at that particular point, if you get a healthy Jordan Lewis and healthy Jalen Ivey, healthy Delvin Cotton and Nash, you haven't had all those guys healthy. What they do in the pass game is that you have to block all four of them. Like there is no we just go key on Jordan because you'll leave one of them one-on-one and they can win those battles. I think that game could possibly get interesting. And then offensively, if you're Southern, if Southern can run the football, I will pay attention to the first couple of drives. If they can run the football in typical Southern fashion, you can look out. You can look out. So I think that's going to be interesting. And with Alcorn and Prairie has to go to Alcorn. Which Felix Harper shows up?
Facts.
Is it going to be the Felix Harper that puts up 300 yards, but complicates that 300 yards because he threw 2 touchdowns and also 2 interceptions?
Mhm.
Or is it mistake-free Felix Harper? I think that Felix Harper has to play his best game, and I think that Nico Duffy and those running backs have to have a big day. And then defensively, Alcorn can't give up the big play. They can't give up the big play.
The one thing about Nico Duffy that I think that the weakness, not the weakness, but the strength of PV is those corners. They love to shoot the alley. Those safeties, the corners, that PV on them edges, they will collapse so fast. And I saw it against Southern because I was like, if Southern can get the edge, I was like, yeah, it should be. Man, them corners and safeties were flying to the alley and did it at such a high level and consistency. So, and that's where Nico Duffy gets off. He doesn't get off between the tackles. He gets off tackle. So I think that kind of plays into what PV likes to do. So you might have to do some trap blocks on Jason Dumas because he's so aggressive coming up the middle. You might have to do some pulls, some counters to get some blocking out in front of Nico Duffy. But I think CJ Bowler should have a game against that boy Jackson or whatever his name is, the corner. PV, he's not that good. He's really not. He's more name based, but he's not really not that good. He can be exposed, and I think CJ Bowler can do that. So if I'm Felix, if I'm CJ, I'm like, man, we got to go at this guy. We got to, with LaCharles as well, we got to attack this boy, and let's make it happen like that. So we'll see how it goes going forward, though. And
this is another game next week. I don't want you to sleep on. No, we wrapping up.
Yeah.
Texas Southern hosts Alabama A&M.
Ooh!
Andrew Body.
Andrew Body!
Man, he could have a big game on Saturday.
Might put up 600.
Man, if he has a big game on Saturday, you can look out.
It's possible because them DBs are not good at Alabama A&M. They are not good. So that's definitely a possibility, and he can get loose with his legs as well. So I mean, like I said, he was getting loose against Jackson State, and that's supposed to be the best defense in the SWAC. So I definitely have some qualms about him getting loose against Alabama A&M.
Yep. So man, that's our time tonight, man. We appreciate everybody coming and checking us out, man. Scotty, we got to do it. We'll have you on again, man. I think we're gonna do it. I think we're probably gonna chop up some plays, man. Really get into some X's and O's. A lot of people have been asking when me and you are going to get into some X's and O's, man. I think people really like that. So we'll have that coming, man. Whether I come on with you, you come on with me, we'll do it either way. Man, check him out, man. If you ain't following this dude on YouTube, man, all script, man. Trust me, man. Subscribe, man. It's worth it. Guy's entertaining, man. He knows the game in and out. Man, Scotty, man, tell him where to find you.
Man, you can find me on youtube.com/offscript. You know what I'm saying? You see the shirt, you already know what it is. Listen, I ain't as professional as BCSN, okay? So I just want to be very clear about that. It's a little vulgar, but you get the point across, okay? So you can find me on that, and you can find me on IG and Twitter. And also, one more thing, I'm doing a Wild Out Wednesday, Southern, Jackson State, call in, talk your trash, whatever. Call into the show, talk your trash, and, do what you do.
All right, man. That's my boy, All Script, man. Everybody, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. We're going to be back next week, man, talking about the big games coming in week 11. And, hey, this is the way we do it on Sunday nights, man. We go inside HBCU football with your boy, BJ Jones, here on the Black College Sports Network. And we out.